Okay, what we have here is an early 2000 6.5 by 14 blue Vistalite Ludwig snare drum that I'm going to change the drum head on, the top head. Vistalite drums should always have clear drum heads, even if it's a snare drum. The whole point is having a transparent drum. So, take this off. What I like to do when I take the head off is stagger each lug so you don't warp the hoop. Everything comes off nice and even and straight. Turn the snares off if you don't want the rattle. So I call this cross tuning. You go from that lug directly across over to this lug, all the way around the whole drum until all the lug screws are loose. It's always a good idea to watch the fingerprints, you know, if you got grease and oil all over your fingers. You don't want to put together a nice, beautiful new drum and have greasy fingerprints all over it. Defeats the whole purpose of having a beautiful drum. This snare drum head I could leave on here, but I want, like I said earlier, I want to have a clear drum head on it, because the whole point of a Vistalite drum is to be able to see through the whole thing. This is a new drum that I've never worked on. I just got it, so I'm going to have to figure out the best way to tune this and figure out the best way to work with it. And most of the newer drums, they all come with the nylon washers now on the lug screws, which is really cool because they don't scratch up your hoops. And you can use less oil and grease, which is less messy, and they still work nice and smooth, just the way they're supposed to. So now I've got all the lug screws loosened and out of the lug itself. I can lift the whole rim and the head off all at once, and all I'm going to do to this drum, as I said, is just switch it out for a clear head. So we take this head off, and I can set this over here. Set that there aside. Okay, when you put your new drum head on, what I like to do, what everybody should do, is line up the logo on the head, whether it's Remo or Ludwig or whatever drum head you're using. Line up that logo with your drum logo, the drum badge. In this case, it's a fabulous Ludwig Vistalite snare drum, 6.5 by 14. Very loud, very responsive, beautiful looking drum, and beautiful playing drums. So, you set your drum head on there, make sure your logo's lined up with your drum badge. Go around the head, make sure everything, the head is in complete contact with the sound edge of the drum, which is that edge, that's called the sound edge right there. Put your head on, make sure there's full contact. Very simple. And you put your hoop back on here. I'm very meticulous. I like that. I like everything lined up just right. You don't have to be that particular, but that's just me. So, okay, you've got the head seated. Go around your hoop. Make sure that's all seated well. You don't feel any gaps. Everything's lined up just right. And you want to make sure all your lug screws are straight up and down, not crooked like that. And let's see, this next thing is just go around, get all your lug screws lined up. Okay, this is where a lot of people just don't take the time to tune their drums. They just put the head on, put the lug screws on, and they just tighten everything. That's wrong. You're not going to have a drum that's in tune if you do that. The way I like to do it is finger tighten all of your lug screws. In this case, 10 lugs on top, 10 lugs on the bottom. So we're just doing the top here. Finger tighten all these. This is the way I like to do it. That way you know you're getting even tension, and then your drum most likely is going to come out in perfect tune. If not perfect tune, very close to perfect tune. So all the way around the drum, finger tighten all of these. Now this is the part that most drummers don't take the time to do. There's nothing worse than getting a beautiful, expensive drum kit and not taking the time to tune them, or you tune them to where they sound like a set of cardboard boxes. If you want your drums to sound like cardboard boxes, don't buy a nice drum set, just set up a bunch of boxes. So. It's always a good idea as you're going around the drum, just double check, make sure everything's seated right. You can use a drum key to do this part, but I like to use my fingers just so I can tell. That way I know if I have even tension. It just gives me a better feel of the tension on each lug. So I get them all finger tight, and then I go around the whole thing again. Push down a little bit. I do this part a lot by feel too. You can just tell by the tension of the lug that you've got even tension on everything. If one lug is really hard to turn, the other one's real loose, well, you don't have even tension and you're not going to have a drum that's in tune. So, once we do that, okay. Okay, this is the part where you just have to take your time. It doesn't take forever. It takes 10-15 minutes, if that. And a lot of people will take the drum key and just do like a whole turn, a whole turn, a whole turn. I don't do that. I start off with usually a quarter turn and just go all the way around the drum until I get the tension and the tune that I want. So I'm going to start with a quarter turn here. Cross over to this side, quarter turn there. You can already tell that everything's got even tension. And you just go all the way around the drum. Over to this side. That's why we call it cross tuning. You go from one side to the other, one side to the other. That's cross tuning. Yeah. Ooh, and this drum ought to tune up real nice. You can tell all the ripples in the head are starting to come out. Feel the head starting to tune up and get nice and tight. The tighter you have your top snare drum head, the more playability you're going to get, the better action. The more snappy it's going to sound, the more response you're going to have, better it's going to play, all that good stuff. Some of these, you know, you got to give a quarter turn, maybe a little bit more to a half turn till you feel the tension. Kind of go by feel, either a quarter or a half turn. the head tightens up, even as your drum key hits the drum, you can hear this thing going into tune. Oh yeah. And see how much better this thing looks with a clear head on it? Isn't it nice? When the head starts to get nice and tight, that's when you can go around and actually check the tuning here, which I will show you how to do. A lot of people, as they're doing this part, you know, they go around and they test the tuning. I like to get the head, you know, pretty much tuned up and nice and tight, and then I do that. So we're just about ready to check the tuning here. And of course, once you do this, you know, you have to play it and fine tune it and dial it up. But usually, once you get all this done, play it, dial it up, and it's good to go. So. Okay, now, you get to this point, what I like to do is just tip the drum up. You can use a stick, or I usually use my fingers or a stick. In this case, I'll just use my fingertip. Take your finger or stick, and then about an inch away from each lug screw to tap it. Just, you know, hit it with a stick or your fingers. And what you want an inch away from each lug to sound the same. So you have, see, these two are pretty much dialed up exactly in tune. You go all the way around the drum. Sometimes you get lucky and you do it and you can go all the way around at one time. Every single one of these seem to be 99.9% in tune. That it's a lot easier to do that when you have a drum that's in good shape. So there you go. That's, to me, that is the best way to tune a drum. Just seat the head, give everything quarter turns, half turns, and then the most important thing to do when you're done and you have the tension that you want on the head, go around and check your tuning. Again, just take a stick or your finger and about an inch away from each lug. As you can hear, perfect tune, both of them. So is that one. Excellent. Okay. So at that point, let's see. This is a new drum. I haven't completely dialed it up, but we're going to see how it sounds now. Turn your snares on. Oh yeah, this is going to sound great. Snares are a little loose right now. Once you do that, get your heads on there, you get the drum in tune, then you want to adjust your snares. These snares I've already adjusted, and what you want to do when your snare switch is turned on like that, that is the off position, that's the on position. You want your snares evenly spaced from each side of the sound edge. If you have your snares pulled over to one side and not enough on this side, it's just not going to have the right response, and it'll sound like a dud. So you don't want that. So that I've already dialed up. So at this point, you can have a little loose like that. I like them a little snappier. Oh yeah, see? And then you tighten your snares, and it'll be less sloppy, a lot more responsive, more sharp, and a more defined sound. So what do you think of that? That is how I like to tune Ludwig snare drums, and basically all my drums I tune this way. With that being said, I hope everybody that gets a drum set takes good care of them, and you have to take the time to tune them if you want them to sound right. So everybody enjoy their drums, no matter what make they may be.